Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat. There's been a lot going on. It's a Sunday. Usually there's not much that happens on a Sunday other than some people go to church. Some people spend time with their families. But today, there have been some emergency meetings going on all day with the UN Security Council. Everybody getting together to share their piece about what should happen or shouldn't happen with the Israel-Iran conflict. And it's kind of interesting to see how useless it all is. We're going to be talking about that coming up in just a second, so stick around. As soon as I get this thing. Oh, I didn't get my coffee before the thing stopped. Hey, thanks for sticking with us. Before we get too far into this, I really do appreciate everybody being here. I wasn't sure if I should go live, but then I thought, you know what, there's been a lot taking place today, mainly over there at the UN. It's been sort of interesting watching it all unfold. As I was, and hearing everybody make their arguments, I suddenly got the realization that the UN really doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, you know, they get up and they say their bit. Iran said their bit about, oh, well, they attacked the consulate, and then you had Syria talking, and everybody made their arguments, and in the end, it's like, well, you know, what's going to happen as a result of that? Okay, is there like a ruling that comes out of the... I know they've got like the general secretary and all these people that have these important titles over there in the UN, but my realization from all of it was that it doesn't mean anything. It's like, who's going to come and do anything about it? You know, if the United States is backing Israel and the other people are backing the other side, it's not like the UN has some kind of like police force, an extra special super... what would you call it, global police force that's going to come in and like enforce any kind of determination by the Security Council. It's more just a place where people can get in there and say their bit in front of the camera so that they've been heard. So Israel gets up and says, this unprecedented attack, and 300 drones and missiles were launched at the country, which, for the most part were blocked by the Iron Dome. And we're fully justified in, according to international law, as if there's really any sort of thing at all. I'm pretty sure that might makes right when it comes to international law. I mean, sure, you can have all kinds of laws, but, just take the United States, for example. And I'm not saying this to, condemn the United States. I am an American myself. But there are a lot of things that we use with our military that are, condemned by international law. So it doesn't really matter what happens. Israel's going to get up there, and then the other people get up there. And like I said, in the end, it doesn't even mean anything. What's the point of having this group? It seems like a colossal waste of money. And I'm also, I've heard all kinds of rumors about terrible things that happen at the UN. Or, when the UN sends their blue helmet people in, supposedly to keep people safe, all kinds of terrible stuff ends up happening, and there's no accountability. It just makes me wonder, what's the point of this? Like I said, it's just an opportunity for each of the different sides to get up in front of the cameras and say their bit. Israel came prepared with an iPad. I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know if anybody else was watching it. It's pretty boring stuff. But, Iran said their bit. I got the sense from them that, okay, we know that nobody really cares what we have to say. But, this thing is going to come rolling off no matter what. So, like I said, the UN Security Council, they get together, they have their deliberations, and at the same time that this is taking place, Israel is already planning its response. So it's like, we're not having this meeting so that we can, avoid disaster. This meeting is literally just to get in front of the cameras because they're already planning their attack. I just found it kind of laughable, what's the point of that? So the United States also said its part. And by the way, Russia and China, they're in there saying, we need to, take a step back and think about peace. And at the same time, they've already got their warships pulling into the Mediterranean, warships that are capable of carrying these hypersonic missiles. which I thought that Iran had hypersonics. Was I wrong on that, or is theirs just like whatever? I guess they were whatever because they didn't work. Apparently, a lot of people on the internet, on Twitter, on X, and different places throughout the Middle East are apparently mocking Iran because of the outcome of their attack. I don't think that, they're suggesting that perhaps it didn't go the way that they expected it to go. Maybe they thought that this was going to be a devastating thing and it would overwhelm the Iron Dome, and it just didn't do that. Let's see. I see you there, Mutant Riff. Glad to see you. Everyone else who's here, glad you're here. I know it's kind of late on a Sunday evening, at least on the East Coast it is. I'm not sure what part of the country you're in, but where I'm at, it's pretty late. But, that's the way it works. I have a son, and in order to do this in the evening, he's got to be asleep. So you don't want to hear all that. You want to hear about this crazy stuff that's going on in the world. I have a bunch of notes. Let me pull this up because there's so much that's been going on today. Now, I had mentioned in the last live stream that we did, I wasn't even sure, like Israel attacked the embassy. And I was thinking to myself, is it because they had like some terrorist meeting taking place at the embassy? Is that why the attack took place? I mean, I'm not saying it's right, and I think that what I was seeing in the UN Council meeting with Syria, they're probably justified in saying, hey, this isn't right. You can't just like come and attack us. I mean, you fly into our sovereign territory like we don't even exist. I guess at this point, Syria is so messed up. Maybe a lot of countries feel like they don't exist anymore. There's no central power, but just never mind about those borders or whatever, and they fly in there. But I did find some information. So apparently the New York Times, they I don't know how much you can trust what they're saying, because they always come out these days with these anonymous sources, and it could be anything. It could just be that there's a so-called journalist working at the New York Times who wants to get a good story out there, but they have nothing, so they just say anonymous. I've got anonymous sources. But anyway, according to them, it says that they attacked because there was a meeting taking place between Iranian intelligence and Palestinian militants. So it's kind of what I was thinking it was. And that also brings me to something that Iran said. We don't have any proxies going along. There's no proxies. And I almost wanted to laugh when I heard it. It's like, okay, everybody knows, about Hezbollah and all of the stuff going on over there. We know about the proxies. Everybody's got proxies. There's proxy wars happening all over the world. And for them to say they don't have proxies is laughable. But I still don't get it. Okay, what's the difference if you're attacking me with a proxy whatever group, or if you're attacking me directly from your own soil? I guess that's what really crossed the line, It was okay when they were just attacking them with these stupid groups and funding them and helping them plan out the attacks and giving them weapons and blowing them up and actually sending people to them to help to train them. That was okay. That wasn't, crossing the line. But when the attack came directly from Iran, that's when it crossed the line. So now, we've got a problem. It's like Ukraine, like I said, okay, the United States is attacking through Ukraine. We're funding the whole thing. It's like we're having the war without actually having the war. And that's, we haven't crossed the line because it's a proxy war. So, even though the Russians are getting blown up, they can't come after us because, is that one of those international laws that they were bringing up there? Like, so everybody was saying that so-and-so crossed the line on international laws. They were talking all kinds of international laws on there, but it just, I have to wonder, these international laws must be so pathetic and so, I don't know, contradicting, because everybody was quoting them. But that must be the one. It's okay to attack another country if you're doing it through someone else. I mean, you can do everything. You can provide all the equipment and the stuff as long as it's not coming from you. And that was another thing. Okay, so Iran, if they're launching missiles, it could be Iran. It could be Iran launching the missiles. But if it's coming from Lebanon, then, that's not the same as it coming from Iran directly, even though it is Iran. Then, that's, those international laws have not been violated. So but this crosses the line. I'm just really confused where these lines are drawn. But anyway, it has been crossed at this point. Now, China and Russia, like I said, they came on and they're saying like, oh, we need to think about not going to war. And, China's trying to look like the big peacekeeper here. They're going to come out on top with that, Never mind all that stuff that's happening with the Philippines and all over the South China Sea. They're the big peacekeepers here. Maybe they can bring in their ships and a bunch of fishermen to block the way, something like that. Russia, the same. Maybe we should think about having some peace here. Never mind all the stuff that we're doing. We're not total hypocrites at all. But yeah, at the same time sending in their warship, which, like I said, that's another bit of big news. It was reported that they were sending them, but I'm seeing things on Twitter and X, which sometimes happens faster than the news reports, saying that these ships are already arriving. So who knows? It could be true. It could not be true. But it seems to be picking up. Let's see. I see we've got some comments coming in here. Mutant Riff, none of you Texas on the back 20. Let's see. Better late than never. Let's see. Starting at the beginning. I see. Playing back at 2 times speed. Well, hopefully you catch up with us pretty quick. We haven't been on here all that long. California, Eastern Sacramento count. Hey, it's much earlier where you're at, so not too late, just in the evening. I wish sometimes that I was in California. Now, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I spent some time in California. It's such a beautiful place. Sacramento especially, at least when I went there. Sacramento was absolutely beautiful. There's nothing better than getting fresh oranges off the tree for Christmas, and there are a few places where you can do that in the United States. California is one of those places. Now, I wasn't in the Northern California part. I was in Southern California, which I'm sorry, Mutant Riff, but I consider it to be the superior part of California. Well, you're probably thinking, well, everybody's got the homeless people these days. It's not just Los Angeles anymore. It's everybody. And that's unfortunate. We even get them here. Of course, they seem to ship them off just as quickly as they arrive. Or maybe the homeless people get here and they're like, this place isn't worth setting up camp. It's just not worth it. So they move along. I remember getting into an argument with some homeless people. I wasn't arguing with them. I was just trying to put gas in the car. And this guy asked if I had change, and I honestly didn't have any change. I didn't have anything. So the guy suddenly is like, you know what? I can't even get any good cardboard here. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know what to say. I'm not picking up the cardboard and throwing it in the dumpster. I'm not the one doing it. But, California, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. At the time when I lived there, I thought, eventually I would want to live there permanently. But, things changed. That I went back later with my wife, and it was not the same as it was when I was there, unfortunately. But, Hey, Texas Jan 57, glad to see you here. Sorry, this dynamic microphone only works if you're right up in front of it, so as I turn my head to look at my notes. So they're getting back to this UN Security Council meeting. As I said, they're saying, what are proxies? We haven't got any proxies. Nobody's got any proxies, so I guess we don't have to worry about that. They're totally justified in their attack. There was nothing funny going on. Well, I guess Iran hasn't said that there wasn't anything funny going on with their meeting, just that, that was our sovereign territory. You attacked that embassy. And our response with 300 cruise missiles and ballistic missiles and all of that is totally not, out of balance of a response. We can try and blow all your people up. I'm sure they're quite concerned. I still think it's funny. Well, it's funny in a terrible way that, they do their attack, it fizzles out, and immediately they're like, okay, now we don't have to have any kind of further conflict after this. You don't have to respond. It's okay now. We got it out of our system. Please don't do anything to us, or it'll be even worse than what we just did. Even though I'm pretty sure that when it fizzled out, they weren't expecting that. They were thinking they were going to break through. I think they thought they were going to overwhelm the Iron Dome, and they just, I don't know if it's because the United States backed it up. By the way, did you hear about Jordan? Jordan, that's a pretty interesting thing. They're being their king. There's a lot of people, mostly American crazy young people, that are saying that he's a traitor. That's remarkable. You get all these crazies on Twitter's a weird thing. It's so. I mean, I saw Elon Musk was saying they were going to clean up all the bots and get rid of all the sock puppet accounts, and they're still there. They're still coming up. I see all this crazy stuff on there, and I think this isn't real. This doesn't represent, the opinions of people here in America. What is this stuff? All this crazy stuff, they're celebrating the attack on Israel and all this, and I'm like, I got called a Zionist, and, I feel like people should be educated on what a Zionist is. It doesn't mean that you support Israel. That's not what a Zionist is. Just so that you guys know. So if anybody calls you that and you feel like, what in the heck is a Zionist? Well, it's people that want to bring about the end of the return of Jesus Christ, basically. The Muslims have a group that's very much like that want to bring about the end of the world. I don't know enough details about theirs to be able to comment on it, but the Zionists, they support Israel only in as much as that's what's going to happen. We're going to bring about, Armageddon, and then Jesus Christ is going to come back. That's what the Zionists are, so that you know. So when somebody accuses you of being a Zionist, you're like, whoa, hey, I'm not ready for that yet, okay? Don't throw me in with that group. I'm all about, peace. I want Israel to stay strong and not to have all these wars with Iran and all these other places. Don't call me a Zionist here. So that's what a Zionist is. So all these people, it's remarkable to me. The ones that are, wanting Israel to get attacked and cheering for it, they're the real Zionists here. They don't know it. They're useful idiots, I guess. But they're the ones that are supporting the stuff that'll bring about the goals of the true Zionists. So just so you know, you have that to use next time somebody accuses you of being a Zionist. You'll be like, what the heck? What is Zion anyway? I don't know. But there you go. The Zionist stuff. Let's see. Only Fords just watched the Civil War movie. What a disappointment. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't go see the Civil War movie. I heard that somebody was saying it's against... I don't even know what they're going to say it's about. It seems kind of silly the way that they're portraying it. I know people are going to say, well, there'd be different factions within the country. The United States is a different kind of animal. It's not the same as the other places that have civil wars. We've seen what kind of stuff happens when people have civil wars in America already. And I know, sure, it might break out a little different, but it's going to end up with two sides. It's not going to end up with a bunch of different factions. And what were they saying? Like the middle states were somehow one group. That's completely indefensible. There's no way anyone that has any idea about how to defend themselves or what's going to work as a country is going to make a country in the middle of another country. Or they'd have to join with the other side. Otherwise, they're going to get overwhelmed by everybody. So I don't know. That's just one of the things I heard from that movie. Going back to what you were saying there. I can only imagine to be a disappointment. I don't think that people in Hollywood know anything about how this stuff would go about. So, yeah, maybe I'll go see it at some point. I haven't even seen the new Dune movie yet. So I'm probably not going to go see the Civil War one if I haven't seen the Dune one, which I've heard is amazing. I don't even know if it's still in theaters now, but I've heard that that's absolutely amazing. Now that you've told me that the Civil War one is not, I won't feel too bad about it. Savage Aragon's glad to see you here. If you guys don't hear me call you out when you get in, there's a little bit of a delay, so just bear with us. I'll get to you guys. Let's see. If someone attacked our embassy in our country, we'd go ape. Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. It wasn't there. I mean, it wasn't in their country. It was in... Yeah, the whole thing is crazy. I agree. This attack on the embassy, whatever was going on, whatever meeting was taking place, there's no reason to just do that. I mean, that is declaring war. But at the same time, they've been being attacked by these people, so I don't see the difference between the proxies and the actual country. If you know you're being attacked by them, then what's the difference? At that point, it's like, okay, we're not going to sit here and pretend like you're not in that embassy having the meeting. Because, the proxy thing. Never mind that. But the whole thing is ridiculous. Syria is the one that really has the axe to grind here, but they're so depleted, I don't know what they could possibly do. Let's see. I'm over near where Reagan built the new, the governor's mansion. A nice place over there, Sacramento. At least it was. I don't know what it's like these days. I haven't been there in a little while. Let's see. Machina Opus. Civil War movie wasn't too bad. It should have renamed A Week in the Life of a Group of Journalists During a Civil War. Ah, I see. So it follows a bunch of journalists, which we have. I mean, the journalists today. I am so disappointed with every time I find out the caliber of work that is being done. You know, these days a journalist just gets on Twitter, just gets on Google, searches garbage stuff, or they find something that some other news outlet has already done, and then they quote them. And that's what a journalist does these days. You know, when I was a kid, a journalist was kind of a cool thing. It's the people that go out and they find the dirty secrets of the government people or something, you know, or they speak truth to power for real. Now they are part of that machine. It's more like the Chinese kind of journalists that I got used to when I was living in China. You know, they're just the mouthpiece of the government or the party. Not the government. The government is below the party. It's kind of a strange setup over there in China. You've got the several layers. So the party, excuse me, losing my voice there. The party, you know, they say what they want, and then the local governments just have to figure it out. And, you know, that's kind of the way our government is working in a way right now. You know, the guy in charge there, Mr. Biden, or whoever it is that's telling him what to say. That's another thing I've been seeing on Twitter, by the way. All these people saying, I'm sure glad that Joe Biden is in the Oval Office instead of Donald Trump right now. I'm like, why? Why are you glad about that? I mean, even if you don't like Donald Trump, why would you be glad to have Joe Biden in there? This whole thing is because of his weakness. You know, Israel's not backing down. Iran's not backing down, and it's all because of that. They see weakness. Iran attacks because they see weakness in, you know, Big Brother over here, the United States, backing up Israel. Israel doesn't back down because they see weakness in our leadership. They aren't counting on the United States right now to do anything to help them. Not really. I mean, not like it would normally be. So they're like, we got to fend for ourselves. And that's where this all comes from. Why would you want to have Joe Biden there? I would, you know, anybody almost. Well, maybe not Kamala Harris, but at least we would know where we stand, right? I don't even know who's in charge at the White House right now. Could get me in trouble. They supposedly brought Biden in, you know, for these meetings, had to take him away from the beach. My son actually laughed when I told him that. He's 6 years old. I told him that the president was at the beach. He was having a beach vacation. I'm sure that my son was imagining, you know, this weird old man making sandcastles and stuff. I don't know what Joe Biden does at the beach. Falls off of bicycles or something. Eats ice cream. That's probably his favorite thing. But yeah, he thought that was quite funny. The president. Yeah. Well, he came back. They brought him in. So I guess that at least he's there. Let's see. So the retaliation, I was also looking into this. There's a lot of stuff going on the internet as well, showing that Iran has so much more stuff, military, speaking, than Israel does. And, you know, they're like clapping themselves on the back. I don't know why anybody, you know, here's these American people. They're Americans. They're white Americans, and they're on the internet cheering for Iran. It's like, aren't you guys, I mean, these are the people that make the women cover themselves up and they execute their citizens for, you know, getting on Twitter or something. And you're supporting that? What's the deal here? But yeah, they're on there, you know, clapping themselves on the back as if it's their football team. Saying, oh, they've got, you know, so many more jets and tanks and stuff than Israel has, and so many more soldiers. And it's like, yeah, I mean, those numbers seem great until you actually see what they are. I mean, we're talking about a country that's still flying F-4 Phantoms and F-14 Tomcats. I guess that they've taped together or something. I don't know where they get the parts to keep them running. But that's what we're talking about here. When they're saying, like, we've got all these tanks. Look what their missiles did. Look how successful that was. All this money they've spent building these missiles and, you know, that what was the result of it? I can't imagine. Israel has amazing stuff. They work with us. Keep that in mind. They have F-35s. I don't care if you're flying an F-14 Tomcat at an F-35. Whatever you think of the F-35, the F-14 Tomcat is done. It's not going to work. It's not like in that Top Gun movie, with Tom Cruise. He's not the one behind the stick on that plane. It's not going to work. It's going to go down. Apparently, their air defenses, they can't even see the things. They've already tested that. They know that it doesn't work. All this stuff. The F-35, its stealth technology, works amazing, I guess, on their old stuff. So I don't know why they're clapping themselves on the back with this. It's going to be a pretty lopsided fight. The only thing that Iran has going for it is that, China and Russia might step in on their side. Russia's already saying they will. China, of course, is not saying as much. They're just like, well, maybe we shouldn't have the fight here. They're probably preparing to make money out of it on both sides. We can make all the medicine for America, and we can sell military stuff to Iran and Russia, and we'll come out on top in the end. It'll fix our broken economy. Let's see. Texas Jan, Benghazi happened, our consulate, our ambassador. Yeah, that's what a disaster. They really didn't care about that, did they? That was a terrible thing that happened over there. And it just kind of went away. And nobody was ever held responsible for what took place. I think there was probably some shady business going on there, but nobody's really going to dig into that to find out. I think some people have dug into it, but it's not going to, that's a frustrating thing. Our own country turned its back on its people that got killed over there. And, that all happened during so much. It makes me wonder how much of this stuff is because of what happened during Obama's presidency. If it all came out and we found out just how he undermined us, and that's why we're dealing with all this crap today. I think everything that happened to Trump, for example, is probably related to what happened with Obama. He planted a bunch of people in the military, in the intelligence agencies, at the FBI, and now they can mess everything up. It's terrible to see it all happening, but it's happening. Hopefully we can get it all back under control and things can get better. Let's see, what else did I have on here? The Russian war. Oh, Klaus Schwab. You guys might find this interesting. Klaus Schwab is in the hospital. I'm not going to be one of the people over here celebrating. There's all these people like, oh, man, hope you, the worm food and all this stuff. I don't like it when anybody is dying. I'm not going to ever celebrate somebody's death. Outside of someone like Hitler or something like that, sure, we can celebrate that one. But Klaus Schwab, as far as I can tell, hasn't reached that level quite yet. I would wish that he would be in the hospital and, have a moment of truth when he's like, wow, I need to change my ways and I need to stop all this stuff that we're doing and start doing good in the world instead. But I don't expect that that's going to happen. They say he's in serious condition with some kind of illness. There's not a lot of information, but that's what's being said. For all I know, I'm going to find out later on that it was all a hoax. He's not in the hospital at all, and he's actually Darth Vader and has, robot parts, so he can't die. He's like that. But, Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum guy, in the hospital, according to reports. I can't confirm because I'm not friends with him. Let's see. And the fake accounts that I was talking about on Twitter. I don't know how it's so bad. It's like any country. Iran, I think in this case it's Iran and some of those places. If something is happening, they fill it up with all kinds of fake posts in support of them. It's like you would think that America is on the side of Iran when you're looking at this stuff. If you got on Twitter, that's what you would think, that America is actually supporting Iran. And that couldn't be further from the truth. But that's what you would think. And it's because of these sock puppet accounts. As soon as something happens, the Chinese do it too, the Communist Party. Whenever something bad happens, that looks bad for the Communist Party, they will find that subject and they will flood the internet with all kinds of posts about nonsense or other things supposedly supporting China, and you'll never find the actual truth. And I'm so frustrated with Twitter because of that, because, supposedly it's a good place to go for the news, but it's not. Because you will never find the news. You will never find the truth. It's going to be full of all this garbage from all these fake accounts. So you're never going to know what's actually going on. I got on there. What was it? Jack Posobiec, I think it was him. He put something like a fake AI thing of Joe Biden saying that they're going to be doing the draft. They need to be careful with that stuff. I mean, it was obviously AI, so I didn't fall for it. But, there's a lot of people that will get upset about that. And who knows what would happen. I wish people wouldn't. That's the trouble with Twitter. You think you're going to be getting the actual news, and instead you end up with all this garbage. Let's see. And the last thing that I want to talk about before I get off of this thing and go to sleep, or before the camera decides to shut off, is our open border. So all of this is taking place. Iran is making threats not only against Israel, but also the United States, saying that we better not get involved. And I just, it's one of those things where I don't know how you would describe it. It'd be like if somebody was missing in the woods, and, every day you're hoping that they're going to be able to survive, that everything will turn out all right, but you have this sinking feeling that, it's not. And every day that it goes on, you feel like, your hope for things working out get, less and less and less. That's kind of how I feel about the border. We've had all this time with all these people just flooding across the border. Now we find ourselves in this situation, and it's probably too late. Anybody that's been across, they're probably here already. So maybe Iran has whatever sleeper cells or something like what they tried to scare us with after 9/11. Now they might actually have them here. I would be concerned, especially after seeing what happened with the October 7th attacks. That could happen here. That could easily happen here in the United States. And how would we stop it? I mean, a lot of people have weapons, but isn't that the same in Israel? So I'll leave it with that. You guys will have to let me know what you think about all of this, of course. Oh, wait, I see some comments coming in here. Let me see what we've got. Hoorah. Hey, Devil Dog, glad to see you here. From Mahina Opus, but does Iran have more missiles and drones than Israel has interceptors for their air defense? Well, I think at that point it's not going to matter all that much. I mean, I hope not. I hope not, but I think that's what they thought they were going to do that time, that they were going to overwhelm the Iron Dome and their missiles would get through. But it turns out that that's not the case. With a little bit of bolstering from the United States, and we have more ships going in there all the time now, I guess they were okay. But once you go to war, I think both sides are well aware of what the consequences might be, and Israel will just have to be prepared for that. I hate to think of that, but there's a real possibility that they have enough to get through, and things could get really, really ugly. But, what are you supposed to do in these situations? Over the last few decades, we've created this moment, I guess. Iran wasn't just going to be able to sit there and not be a problem. It's eventually we're going to have to figure this out. Something is going to have to happen, because the regime, it didn't change. They didn't go away. The people didn't get tired enough of it to put a stop to it. And when they did, they got shut down thanks to our technology. They were able to track them down, and China, and find out who the dissidents were and shut them up and send them away forever. So now regime change is not likely, which leaves this scenario where the confrontation has to take place. It's unfortunate. I wish that something may have been done early on to put a stop to this, but nothing ever was. We've been kicking the can down the road, and now we're left to face this situation. And what is Israel supposed to do? Just sit there and take it all the time, I guess. That's a terrible way to live. I wouldn't want to live like that. Let's see. Guinness Decker. We have had sleeper cells here for years. Local sheriff told my mom that 15 years ago. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, especially now. Who knows what's come across that border? And I don't know if it's because they wanted to have, the outcome on the election. A lot of people are saying it's because they want to build up the population so they can have more representation in Congress, or if it's something else more nefarious, but something clearly has gone very wrong here. Let's see. Seek meekness, Zechariah 14, 2-3. Or 2-3. Is it 2-3 or 2-32? Let's see. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's verse 2. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity. Yeah, I know. I read this stuff, and believe me, I grew up in a very religious home, and I had a lot of this end of days sort of stuff built into me because of the religion that I was a part of. And believe me, it comes to my mind when I hear all of this stuff. You know, we've got Gog and Magog and all this stuff, and it really does make you think about that. But just remember that if it is, it is. And you just have to be prepared yourself. And that's what it really comes down to. If you're prepared, if you have been living the right way, then you have nothing to fear. I mean, other than horrible pain and all of that stuff. But your eternity, your eternal concerns are taken care of, I guess I would say. Anyway, I better leave it at that. It's been fun. This has actually been a pretty... I enjoyed this anyway. Yes, also make the Revelations. Yes, Revelations. Even just the words of Jesus Christ himself in Matthew and some of the other Gospels about his return. It brings a lot of that to mind. It really does. But like I said, I better end this and go to sleep, or hopefully I can get to sleep, because tomorrow starts early, and we'll do this again tomorrow, probably in the afternoon rather than in the evening. You guys will have to let me know on that as well, if you prefer it to be a late night show, or if it works out if I do this earlier in the day. We'll give it a try. Maybe we'll end up doing multiple live streams. I don't know. You can do up to 3, and YouTube will still push it out there for people to find. We'll see what we can do with it. And with that, I guess I will see you guys in the next one. ไฟพะวงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางประกงทางห้วยงงหลงเกอ